This is the third part of our section 2.1 on inductive reasoning. Here's an example. The conjecture says that all dogs have spots. Is this conjecture true or false? It's definitely false. At some point in your life, you have seen a dog that doesn't have a spot. You can either name the dog or you can give the name of the breed. For example, here's a counter example. Remember that abbreviation. The counter example to this conjecture would be golden retriever. You might have thought of a counterexample that was different than this. You only need to provide one, and there could be many answers. Now, this conjecture had nothing to do with math, but it was a simple example where you could easily find a counterexample. On this one, we'll look at a conjecture that involves math. So we need to find a counterexample. A student makes the following conjecture about the sum of two numbers. Find a counterexample to disprove the student's conjecture. So the conjecture is this. The sum of two numbers is always greater than the larger number. The sum is the answer to an addition problem. You need to take two numbers and add them. Let's go with an easy example here. 2 plus 3. We're summing those two numbers. That gives you 5. 5 is the sum. Is 5 greater than the larger number? It is. You could try it with other numbers. Maybe 10 plus 3. That gives you a sum of 13. Is 13 bigger than 10? It is. So it looks like it works. Now, to find a counterexample, you need to find a sum that is less than or equal to that larger number. Notice how it just says to pick two numbers. It doesn't say what type of numbers to use. So what if we switched it up and used different types of numbers? Instead of using positive numbers, what if we used negative numbers? Negative 6 plus 8, the sum is 2. Is 2 bigger than 8? It's not. This is a great counterexample. And again, there's many others that you could use. Throwing a negative in there certainly helps you. But you could have also used a 0. 0 plus 5 equals 5. So your sum is 5. Is 5 bigger than 5? It's not. It's equal to it. So when you're looking for counterexamples to certain conjectures, make sure you know what numbers you're allowed to use. I'll make a list of numbers here that you should check when you're looking for counterexamples. Check the number 0, check the number 1, check negative numbers. Check fractions. check big numbers. Unless, of course, they tell you what type of numbers you must use. Using these types of numbers are a really good idea. Now notice how big numbers is on the list. I didn't write small numbers because here's some small numbers right here, and if you want to get really, really small, we already have negatives. So this should be your checklist when you're plugging numbers in to find a counterexample.